Hello everybody and welcome to another ranking video. I'm Sanjita and today I'm going over all the best marquee characters and ships from 2020. There are fewer than there were in 2021. There's only 8 characters and 2 ships. There actually weren't any ships coming out marquee style in 2021. But there's fewer, I think, for a good reason. 2020 was the year that 4 Galactic Legends came out, the initial Rey and Kylo, as well as Jedi Master Luke and Sith Eternal Emperor at the end of the year. So people were busy enough with trying to handle those and develop those requirements that some of these marquees went into them, but the rest were stiff asks at that time. So not too many marquees. Anyway, let's jump into it. So the first character we got in January 2020 was Resistance Hero Poe. And I put him in B tier. He's a decent marquee, nothing special, but he's not terrible. He goes along with Galactic Legend Rey most of the time, and along with Finn, he can help spread around that inspired mechanic. And in his unique, it allows inspired allies to deal 10% damage of a target enemy's max health to them. He also can deal out some debuffs, daze, stagger, stun on his multiple specials, but they're only single target, which in my opinion really hurts him and prevents him from going much higher. Next up, from April 2020, we started getting the Mandalorian characters, first up with Cara Dune. Now in my opinion, Cara Dune is not anything special, so I put her in C tier. I'm not a fan of her. She slots into a Rebel Fighters lineup under Mon Mothma. She just serves as the tank for that team, and she does come back when she has potency up, so she kind of has like a zombie mechanic there. She doesn't deal a lot of damage, and while she does have some Empire synergy built into her, it's more limited because it's just one faction to go against. And some of her kit seems to be built around her, excuse me, dealing more damage. Like she has 100% critical chance and 50% critical damage when stealth. It doesn't really matter because she doesn't deal a lot of damage. So no, not my favorite character from the year. C tier is Greef Karga, and I think Greef Karga is a very solid character, a very solid bounty hunter. So he goes in the A tier, mid A tier. He does so much for a bounty hunter team. He cleanses debuffs, he calls everyone to assist, helps recover health and protection on his basic, and one thing I like about him is when he has his payout, he's constantly reducing his cooldowns when he gets debuffs. So that's why that Lord Vader counter, well, in different circumstances, with Fennec Shand really works well when there's not a crazy datachron on them. It's because he can constantly keep cleansing the team on his turn, because whenever he's inflected with debuff, he's reducing the cooldowns on his cleanse ability, and he also grants Retribution up, Tenacity up if they have their contract, and also gives out turn meter. So very strong character. Love Greef Karga. And the next Mandalorian character from the year, also from April 2020, is the Mandalorian himself, the original Marquee Mandalorian. He goes just above Greef, though it was kind of hard for me to decide. Greef does more in terms of supporting a bounty hunter team, but Mandalorian really can be the linchpin of the team with his disintegrate ability. Being able to get an instant kill just creates a whole new dynamic for this team. And the theory crafting around bounty hunters now is how do we get the payoff as soon as possible so Mandalorian can start disintegrating people. He also grants turn meter to his team by critically hitting. He gets 30% turn meter himself with his Zeta, and others get 15%, which is very good. So if you're calling him to assist a lot, you could really get a turn meter train with bounty hunters, which isn't exactly kind of what they're known for, but it's also another strong mechanic. So he's mostly a one-trick pony, but he does grant turn meter out. And now we have our first ship for these rankings. As you see, I have a little blue bar to divide them. There's not too many, so each one is just going to show a tier, and it's not going to be layered within the tier. But we got the Rebel Y-Wing in May of 2020. And the Rebel Y-Wing, I consider it a B tier ship. It is decently strong, but its usefulness is situational. It's a lot better now with the profundity, but before the profundity, it wasn't really used in a home one team. The best thing about it to me is its kind of medic ability. When you're scoring critical hits, your team is recovering protection, which on that profundity team means they're almost always topped off with protection. And also his protection disruption or shield disruption is a great ability to have on that second special. Meant to take out Houndstooth, but also just can take out basically any tank if you can land it. The next ship up is the Imperial TIE Bomber from June of 2020. and I'd put that as a stronger ship in the A tier because on its own it has a lot more strengths than the Rebel Y-Wing. It's very tanky, it's unique, gives it extra durability, so it's very strong, can take a lot more hits than the Rebel Y-Wing in my opinion. And also that AoE Dispel and Burning is useful in a ton of situations, and this ship is key to basically any counter to the Profundity except for Executor. In a Malevolence lineup, you need it in the reinforcements. In an Executrix counter, you need it either in the starting lineup or in reinforcements. Just a very strong ship, and it makes the Empire fleet. It's part of the reason the Empire fleet has grown so strong recently, in addition to TIE Interceptor and TIE Advance rework. Okay, now we're back to characters, and the next character up is 3PO and Chewie, and I'm putting him at the top of the A tier. 3PO and Chewie is amazing in a Rebel squad under CLS. He does so many things for the team. AoE Dispel plus Blind, massive AoE that keeps ramping up as long as you've defeated other enemies, which is awesome in territory battle, by the way. And he stares a ton of stats to the whole team. He is taking 40% of the leader's max health, protection, offense, defense, potency, and tenacity, and giving it to himself, and then half to the rest of the team. And also he's granting 15% critical avoidance. And he's assisting on basically every move that another Rebel ally makes, unless he's dazed or something. But yeah, he is a very strong character. He took the CLS team to another level. Love 3PO and Chewie, high A tier. Next up, we got another Marquee that was released for Jedi Master Luke. That is Mon Mothma. I put her in the lower A tier because while she is a very good character, I don't think her squad is the strongest. I definitely like bounty hunters over her. And I like what Grief Karga and Mandalorian bring to the bounty hunters over what she does to her team. But she took a bunch of obscure characters and made them into a coherent team. It's not a priority for me in the game as long as you're an early player, because you have to relic up a bunch of characters that aren't that strong on their own, like POW and Hoth Rebel Scout. But if she gets going right with the right amount of speed and right turn order, she can get a turn meter train going and take out a lot of stuff. And she's kind of like the Geonosian Brute Alpha of 2020, except she can actually revive a normal character on her own instead of just her summon character. But she's decently strong, so she still merits A tier for me. She also equalizes health all the time, does cleanses, and yeah, she really does a lot.
Hello there.
Like and subscribe.
Alright, now I don't know if you've noticed, but so far there have only been light side characters from 2020. Now we're about to get our first dark side character, and it's a good one. Admiral Piet came out in August 2020, and he took the Imperial Troopers to their next level and really made them viable in the modern age of Galaxy of Heroes. And also right now, he is amazing on a Lord Vader team. In Arena mainly, you don't really see him in Grand Arena, but his Emperor's Trap is his key feature. Anytime an Emperor ally takes a turn, uses an ability, or attacks out of turn, they're getting a stack of Emperor's Trap, which gives 6% offense and potency per stack. This is what makes the Tarkin Cheese work. This is what makes some Vader counters to Lord Vader work. Just an amazing mechanic. The sky's the limit for it. And even aside from the present day shenanigans, Imperial Troopers really benefit from him. Along with Dark Trooper, they put out tons of damage, and his Emperor's Trap is what allows them to keep going ad infinitum with that turn meter train. He does other stuff too. He can force a mark on an ally, and also he's calling the ally to assist constantly. And the inevitable failure mechanic of that first special doesn't really come into play as much, but if the ally he tagged does die, Piet will get a bunch of boost with from the inevitable failure, going up to an increase of 100% max health protection, 300% offense, and 25% speed. In addition, he has AoE Daze, Dispel from light side enemies, and it will also inflict fear on the whole team if you defeat an enemy. You don't usually defeat enemies with it, but still, a lot of stuff for this guy, high S tier. And also, lest we forget, he is the pilot of one of the best capital ships in the game, the Executor. And now we're up to our second dark side character and last Mandalorian character, last character of the year from December 2020. We got Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is a great character, and in my opinion, merits S tier because of his plug and play flexibility, his speed, and his debuff mainly, Demoralize. That Demoralize buff is insane. It basically neuters the entire team, reduces their damage substantially, and also he gets his whole team going as well. If you're in an Imperial Troopers lineup, it works great. It also works great alongside Vader because Vader is not getting his turn meter reduced with that second special. He's key in a Jabba the Hutt counter using Imperial Troopers. If you haven't seen it yet, I have a video on it. Jabba's not that prolific right now, but I have had success in Territory War and testing in Squad Arena. But Moff Gideon is amazing. His basic is kind of lackluster. His first special is okay, Armor Shred's okay, but it doesn't do much else. But his granted ability is awesome as well. And irresistible AoE daze if an enemy has the leader tag. So this guy just does a lot for the Imperial Trooper team or another team you want to get in and just get a head start on the other team, because you can get him super high in speed, over 370.